Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dyandra Goesvi, and this is my assignment 5, reading report for topic 6, uh, exposure in second language acquisition for SLA course. So, we are going to talk about exposure. So, what's the in this reading report, I'm going to explain about the level of exposure and the type of exposure. The type of exposure, distinguishing, we are differentiate between explicit, the formal and instruction-based, and implicit, natural and contextual meaning and learning. So how about the key concepts in exposure? Exposure. So first about explicit learning occurs when the learner is aware of the learning process, often focusing attention on rules and structures, often through formal instruction, like for example, we are study at school, at the university, study about language, we focus on the grammar. In the other hand, the implicit learning, uh, this 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 learning by exposure without conscious focus on the rules of the language, typically occurring through natural interaction and immersion. And the other key concepts that we are learned in this material is about the input hypothesis, the theory that language acquisition is largely determined by the amount of comprehensible input to which the learner is exposed. How about the method? The method is exposure as participants were exposed to varying amounts and types of L2 input. Their comprehension and acquisition of the language were assessed using a series of tests designed to measure both explicit knowledge, or we can call it grammar rules, and implicit skills, fluency and comprehension. So in this method, we can see the results, like increased exposure to the target language significantly improves receptive ability. Explicit exposure. Explicit exposure leads to better awareness and acquisition of language rules, contributing to more accurate language production. For the implicit, although is lower in terms of rule acquisition, promotes more natural and fluent language use over time. So the combination of explicit and implicit exposure produces the most balanced language development, improving both accuracy and fluency. For the implications for language learning, language learners benefit from a varied approach that includes both formal, explicit instruction and informal, implicit, and natural. I'm sorry, it's not informal. Not informal, but more natural is implicit language use. Research Research supports the view that a significant amount of exposure is important, but the quality and the type of exposure are equally important. Educators should aim to provide learners with a combination of structured input and real-world communicative experiences for optimal learning outcomes. So that both the level and type of exposure play an important role of second language acquisition. While implicit learning helps develop fluency, explicit learning is necessary to grasp complex rules, suggesting that an integrated approach is essential for successful language learning. So Carmen Munoz's research on differences in exposure affect English learning. So like in research in second language teaching and learning explores the role of in-school and out-of-school environments in learning English as a second language. So the study focuses on adolescents from two geographical contexts, Denmark and Spain, who experience different levels of English exposure in their daily life. In Danish students' superior English proficiency, Danish teenagers outperform their Spanish classmates in most language tests, especially in listening comprehension and grammar assessment, with the exception of metalinguistic knowledge. This difference was largely due to greater exposure to English outside of school in Denmark. The impact of extracurricular activities. Danish students were more involved in English creative activities outside the classroom, such as using media and interacting socially in English. Interestingly, although both groups enjoyed the same activities, the Danish group had longer and more impactful extracurricular exposure. Contextual factors and language learning. Research shows that the impact of extracurricular activities on language proficiency varies depending on the learner's environment. Denmark, with its richer English-speaking environment, provides more opportunities for authentic language use, contributing to better overall contributing to better overall language outcomes. These results highlight the importance of environmental exposure to language learning, demonstrating that richer English context, even outside of formal education, can significantly enhance language acquisition. So that's all for me. Thank you.